真空波動拳
I still don't have what it takes. I must train harder. This time, victory is mine.
Hadouken!
I still don't have what it takes. I must train harder. This time, victory is mine.
Hadouken!
This time, victory is mine.
Hadouken! 真空波動拳
Hey everybody, welcome to Will and Drew's Gaming Retrospective. This is episode 121 for the week of April 11th, 2021. I'm your host, Drew, and I am joined by, whatever your name is, Will.
Somebody. I think this is my first day on the show.
Right? I mean, dude, we were like mid-conversation talking about other stuff. And I'm going to be completely honest with you. I lost track of the countdown. I was focused on other things, and then I look over and I'm like, shit. We got like a minute left, and I just didn't have a chance to come up with something witty. So
I don't blame you, man.
I'm sorry. How are you?
You can't do it every week.
I don't really do it most weeks, if we're being honest.
I suppose that's fair. I'm used to something, though. I feel like every week it's like, wonderful Will, whatever.
Wonderful.
It's something that you ad-lib.
Wonderful Will. Okay, let me try this again. Hey, everybody. Welcome to Will and Drew's Gaming Retrospective. I'm Drew. You're listening to 121. That guy over there is Mr. Smiles, Will, because you're smiling right now. Fuck it, this is weird, man. Shut up.
Hey, I'll tell you what, man. I'll answer your question. I am well. How are you?
I'm in a good mood. I'm in a good mood today, man. Today was a good day at work. We had falafel for lunch on the company dime.
Lovely.
I got this like wonderful chicken and falafel wrap. It was just out of this world, absolutely outstanding, and got some stuffed grape leaves on the side.
Oh man,
great! It was just
that's a lunch and a half, man.
It was, and then like I came home and I'm like, well, I really don't want like a heavy dinner, so I fried up a couple eggs, a couple Eggo waffles, a couple pieces of sausage.
Okay,
and that was my dinner, and I'm done eating for the day. I'm not going to eat anything until probably 12 o'clock tomorrow.
Okay,
so yeah.
I'm sure you could agree with me on this. Falafel's tricky. It has to be cooked well. I've had bad falafel and I've had really good falafel.
This place, we've only ordered from there twice now. And I got to be completely honest with you, man. It's some of the best Middle Eastern food I think I've ever had. It's not greasy. It's not like it's flavorful. It tastes fresh. You know how like if you order stuffed grape leaves, it kind of can be oily and
yes.
Yeah, these are not like that. Like they're like just kissed with the olive oil.
Oof, I love that.
Oh man, magnifique.
Great description.
Yeah, it's truly a wonderful place, and I'm just thrilled that we found it, and I'm even more thrilled that people are actually willing to join me in these ridiculous food quests, because I'm like, most of the time I was talking with one of the guys at work, and he's like, oh man, every time we go, like they want to get from a diner. I'm like, okay, well, last week we had Indian. The week before that we had Mexican. There's a Peruvian restaurant nearby that we order from all the time. We've had Thai food. We've had Mediterranean a couple times now, and it's just like,
love it, man.
Yeah,
smorgasbord of cuisines.
Really is. I like to be multicultural when it comes to food. So
100%. It's kind of unfortunate when some people don't want to be that way, and they don't want to, take a risk and take a chance on something that they haven't had before. So they get nervous and they're like, nah, let me just get the basic. You know what? I'll just do French fries. And you're like, dude, it's a Mediterranean restaurant. Like, don't get those.
Yeah, exactly.
They're lucky if they have fries.
Yeah, man. And you know what? The crazy thing is this place did have French fries, and they had some kind of seasoning on top of them. And I didn't try one. One of the other guys, Mark, came by with the fries. And he's like, yo, you got to try these fries. And I was full. I was just like, you know what, man? I can't. I appreciate it, but I can't. But I was reading the description, and it's like, they season them with like something. I don't know what they use. And then there was another spot that I went to up near me a while back. And this one's a little bit more of a trash panda place. Everything's a little bit greasier. It's more of like street food versus like, cultured food. And like they had these things, they called them Dunya fries, and they were like seasoned to the nines and covered in tahini, and they were outstanding. Like if I was drunk off my ass and I ate those fries, I'd be in a good spot, man.
It sounds like drunk food.
It totally is. But anyway, yeah.
Man, I love falafel.
It is. I'm hoping that your new place has like some good restaurants nearby, man. Like you need a good Indian restaurant. You need a good falafel restaurant. What else do you need?
Well, I have good news for you, friend.
Yeah.
We have food trucks every weekend, apparently, at this place, and they're all different cuisines.
What?
I know, it's mind-blowing. Every weekend.
So like, have you witnessed any of these trucks?
I get emails every week.
So what kind of trucks are we talking about here?
I've seen a Mediterranean one. I think it's falafel. I've seen some Mexican ones come through. There was a pizza one, and I'm trying to remember what the fourth one was. I think it was hot dogs and hamburgers or something like that.
Well,
I don't know. A lot of these food trucks have like fancy names, like Fork in the Road, and then you're like, "What's that?"
yeah, and it's like hard-boiled eggs.
Yeah, yeah. In like one of those little egg cup things
Oh, God.
that no one uses.
Egg cup.
Yeah, those things that you put like the egg in, you gotta crack the egg like this.
Yeah, well, who the fuck does that?
Yeah, no one. Maybe if you're in like I don't know, you live in royalty in the UK.
Oh, look at me. I'm going to crack my egg and slurp it out of its shell. It's just nasty.
Oh my God.
Oh.
What kind of accent was that?
I don't... Shut up, Will.
It was almost like a slightly British, like Dr. Evil, maybe.
I'm bad at accents. I don't know what to tell you.
Can you do any?
No. No,
Okay.
Oh,
Clearly.
Killer Sirach in the chat just said that was Swedish. Yeah,
It
we'll
was
go with
kinda
that.
Swedish.
We'll go with that. Yeah.
My bum is on a Swedish. Shout out Tom Green.
Oh, God. Anyway.
So what are we talking about today, dude?
Well, we got a lot of stuff to talk about. Should we plug our shit first, or we good?
Let's do some plugging.
I guess everybody that's listening probably already knows it by now, but if you don't, we are Will and Drew's Gaming Retrospective. Follow us on the web at www.wdgrpodcast.com. Of course, we're available on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram at WDGR Podcast. That's at WDGR Podcast. Will, if somebody would like to find you, how can they do so?
Yes, a little website called soundcloud.com/will_gear.
And you can probably find me on Twitter these days at ScionStorm over on there. And man, before we dive into our topics of the day, let's just give a quick shout out to the Twitch room. Epic Outro, Killer Sirach, thanks for stopping by. I'm not sure who else is in there today, but if you are watching,
Greetings.
we appreciate you. Thank you for tuning in. And of course, you can follow us on Twitch at twitch.tv/WDGR Podcast every Monday, 6:30 p.m. Eastern Time. So let's see here. Well, before we get into our topics, I want to do a little show and tell real quick. Is that cool?
Oh, yeah.
All right. So, first of all, we had a little bit of a weird day at work today. We were getting a little silly. I think it might have been the falafel, but I'm not 100% sure. I want to show you this wonderful photo that one of my supervisors drew for me, and it is a photo of us, Will.
Okay.
It is, but he doesn't know the name of our show, so it just says Drew's Podcast, and I apologize. But this is a very detailed photo of a random person. Actually, it's another one of my coworkers, Noah, holding a boom microphone that looks like a fuzzy potato.
Interesting. Now, I noticed you used the word "wonderful" to describe this photograph.
Yes.
I'll just let that slide.
I know what I said, Will.
Okay, I just want to make sure. So, is this coworker 8 or 9 years old, or?
I mean, I think you have to add a 4 in front of that number. I'm not sure his exact age, but he's got about 10 years on us, roughly.
Okay.
Cool dude. Very talented photographer. His drawing skills are,
Seen better days.
yeah. But he still did better than I would, if we're being honest here. And then, so I love that photo so much that I asked him if he could draw my cats.
Oh boy.
So this one really is for Killer Sirach. He's going to love this one. Here's a picture of Metro and Dax. And on the camera it is backwards, but you'll notice that Metro has long hair, and Dax has short hair.
Yeah.
So, I mean, this is.
God.
But he refused to sign them for me because he was afraid that I would try to sell them on eBay and make thousands of dollars.
I just want to slap them on your fridge with an alphabet magnet.
That's where these are going.
Yeah, that's where they belong and nowhere else.
That's where these are going.
Yeah, let's not do a show and tell anywhere else with those. Make a paper plane out of it, throw it into a fire.
I also want to show this off. I know we have some fans of the show.
Picture to scale. Sorry. It doesn't look like 6 feet of social distancing.
So my camera's gonna have a little hard time focusing on this. Plus, it's backwards because I can't figure out how to flip it on Discord. But this is a copy of Chrono Trigger for the Super Nintendo.
Oof! What a gem.
I am super thrilled to finally own one of my white whales of gaming. And shout out to Son of a Fitch for hooking me up with this wonderful, amazing gem for an awesome price. I can't wait to play it. And like the sad thing is like I have it on like the DS, I have it on the PlayStation, I can emulate it. I want to like bust out my Super Nintendo and put this thing in with the shitty ass cables and just play the shit out of it, man.
Yeah, just the idea of inserting that into a OG SNES and moving that switch to the on position, just oh man, it gives me chills.
The Super Nintendo has such a satisfying click when you hit that ups, that power on switch is like thunk. It's a little bit bassy but a little bit hollow at the same time. And
I think there's a red light on the left corner of the front of the console, right?
I believe so, yes.
I believe so. It's nice to see that come on too. It's the little things.
It really is, man. I have to agree 100%. So, let's see here. Well, that's all.
What a great grab, man! I'm happy for you with that piece of acquirement there.
If I can
acquisition,
if I can manage to talk the rest of the WDGR Game Club into playing that with me, I think then I can die a happy man.
Oof, yeah, I mean, I would have to either emulate that one or, I don't know. Isn't it possible to play that on PS3, like the PS1 version or something? Okay.
I mean, if you have the disc, yes. I don't know if it's on the store.
Oh yeah, I totally remembered that. I had that for PS1, and it was bundled with something else. It's like part of a collection.
Yeah, I want to say it's Chrono Trigger and Final Fantasy VI.
Yeah, something like that.
Yeah, but I'm not 100% positive on that. But it is one of the Final Fantasy games because they put 4 and 5. I think 4 and 5 are on one collection, and I think 6 and Chrono Trigger were on another collection. And then Chrono Cross obviously came out as well too, which I've yet to play.
I've heard it's really good.
Yeah, that's another one that I'd like to pick up. Or excuse me, it's another one I'd like to play. I do have a copy. Man, I just like it sucks like trying to cover new games when I have so many old games that I haven't played that I want to play. It
does.
It can be distracting.
How do you feel about Jimmy's new setup? I feel like that's kind of inspiring.
Oh, that's pretty good, man. Like he's got a CRT set up there and the LCD TV right next to it, or LED, excuse me. And he's got a capture card. I was talking with him about it today. Actually, he's got a capture card nearby that he set up on a long HDMI wire or a USB wire, so he can record gameplay. I know he's got a new video coming out soon, so I'm excited to see that. And I'm really happy that he's got that that game setup working for him. It's an undying challenge to find a way to make all of that shit work in harmony. And
ain't that the truth, man?
I have it. I still have my CRT. It's actually currently in my garage, but I decided that I didn't want to deal with it anymore because I wanted to be able to hook up my new systems and my old systems at the same time, and it was a challenge doing that. So, I have a retro tank which lets me hook some of the stuff up to my LED TV, but it's not perfect,
There's no definitive way, and I think that's the issue. But for collectors like Jimmy and yourself, it's not so much an issue. I think it's more of a challenge, but kind of a cool one. How do I get all this to work on one TV and one setup and get it all shelved properly?
Right.
It's kind of fun.
It is. And it's like, if you're the type of person that likes to tinker, like you can stay within this hobby and tinker till the end of time, or as long as your budget allows you to. There's some really cool shit that's been coming out in the past few years in the realm of hardware emulation. One of the biggest things are the ODEs, which are the optical disc emulators. I know Joe picked up one for his Saturn, and you remove the entire disk drive from the unit, and you replace it with a device that connects straight to the main board, and it works off of either a solid state drive or a SD card, and you can load up as many games as you can fit on there. And then you play them on the original hardware with the original controller. If you're connected to a CRT or whatever, it'll still look the same. And they're great, and they're pretty reasonably priced too. So, like I have 2 Dreamcasts. One of them has, I think, a bad disk drive. It's one of them's broken, and I really need to figure out what's wrong with it, because if it's just a disk drive, I'm gonna rip that puppy out. I'm gonna put one of these ODEs in it.
Smart.
It
would probably cost a lot more money to get like an original replacement Dreamcast hard drive, right? Or not a hard drive, a disk drive.
I think we're probably at that point, yeah. And these drives do fail. Do you remember popping in that Dreamcast when we popped in Marvel vs. Capcom 2 at the big game day? How fucking loud that disk drive is?
Oh, yeah. It was so loud that it concerned me. I was like, man, it kind of sounds like it's getting scratched up in there. Better not, because I paid like $120 for this game or whatever. Yeah. I just completely forgot. I mean, we're talking 1999 to what? I think it was 2019 that I had that set up.
Yeah.
I mean, it's just wild.
And that was normal too. Like that loudness is normal. So, we took that for granted in 1999. But nowadays, we get upset if the fans on our PlayStation are too loud. Hearing that thing is like, it's
like, man, it's running at 4K 60. I don't understand why.
Yeah.
How dare it do that? How dare it perform well but be loud?
Oh God. Oh man. So we got some topics to hit up on today, right? What are we talking about today?
We do, and I wanted to ask you, what's going on with Outriders? I think you mentioned that it's getting a little bit better for you.
Yeah, so I've kind of gotten over the hump of the early game where, you're really just kind of essentially surviving. The game, it's starting to become more of an RPG and less of a looter shooter, which is really appealing to me because I think there's a lot of really cool combinations you could do with these with your powers and your guns, and once you each level of gun has the ability to have a little bit more juice to it, right? So you have your basic guns, you have common, uncommon, rare, ultra rare, and then legendary, I think is the pattern they use, right? And they're all color coded. It's just like Destiny and just like the Division. And these guns drop with a variety of different types of status effects, somewhat randomized. But when you have an uncommon gun or a green colored gun, there are no status effects. When you get a rare one, there's one status effect. When you get a ultra rare one, there's 2 status effects. And I think there's only 2 status effects on the legendary as well, but the second one is of a higher power, right? So one of the cool things you can start to do is you start min-maxing the character and the abilities to kind of stack things up. So one example is I found a gun that sets enemies on fire when you shoot them, and it also causes them to bleed. So you're stacking 2 status effects on them at the same time. Well, another thing that you can do with that is my character has a turret that he uses, and the turret freezes people. So now that's a 3rd status effect. And I can use poison bullets for a limited amount of time as well. So that's cool. That's a 4th status effect. So now I'm shooting these guys and I'm stacking them with 4 status effects at the same time. Well, the poison bullets only last for 1 clip, but I found armor that extends that to 2 clips, right? So now I'm like, okay, well, which gun is going to get the most use out of this? Do I want to put that on a sniper rifle that only has one shot? No, I'm only getting 2 shots with that special, and it's useless. How about a gun that has like 140 in a clip? Now it's like, 300 or 280 shots, and if you're doing a couple shots at a time, boop, 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 that could go a long time. So
Oh, yeah.
it really is game changing when you start to see the different relationships that you can have with the guns and how they combine with your existing powers. And then you have your armor, which also has the ability to enhance, your skills, your abilities, your magic, so to speak. And the game is just, it was really starting to click with me the other day, man. I was having a good time with it. I was having a lot of fun. There's a couple things that also opened up. There's like a bounty system. Right, I found this town, and this guy is he's like, oh yeah, I need you to kill all these people for me. And it's like, they don't tell you like who to kill, but like when you go into a new area, you'll find like a wanted poster maybe, and you can grab that wanted poster, and you're accepting the bounty. And then once you complete the bounty, you kill this dude. You go and you can collect some cool gear from that, or money, or whatever they're offering for that particular bounty. And then kind of similarly, there's a battle that you can do against wildlife, right? And it's a boss creature or animal, and those are quite exciting, man. Just you're fighting these like massive birds that are like throwing down like fucking rocks the size of one of their wings, and
Jeez.
it's nuts. It gets absolutely crazy, and the combat is it's a lot of fun. I think there's a misnomer that it's a cover-based shooter, but like you really can't stay in cover too long. They flush you out, so you're moving. You're constantly moving, retreating, pressing forward, and then I've really only played as one character class, but each character class apparently plays very differently too. So while I'm playing the sniper, who kind of stays back and relies on technology, you might play as the tank character who, just goes in and busts shit up. And if I haven't done any multiplayer yet, but that's something that I'm kind of hoping that maybe some other people will jump in on, because I think it could be a lot of fun.
Well, I'll tell you, man, the presentation that you have here on the stream is definitely pretty engaging. This looks a lot more versatile than I think I originally anticipated.
Yeah, there wasn't a lot of information about the game when it first came out, or when it was first announced. Rather, you saw a couple trailers, and I think it looked appealing. It looked colorful, and it's like this nice magic versus guns kind of balance. But the further into the game, like you get, like it's really more about the synergy between the two.
Mm-hmm.
And
I can see that.
Yeah, it's a lot of fun. The side quests are interesting. You can just kind of accidentally stumble on one, but like they're not really essential. Like you're not missing anything if you don't do them. They're easy enough to find. There's like check marks on the map, and some of them are pretty touching. I still stand by the fact that like not everything in the game is perfect. There's still mediocre voice acting. The story is still kind of meh.
Mm-hmm.
But the story is interesting enough to keep me around. Like I can deal with a mediocre story if I'm having fun playing the game. And I was having enough fun with the game to kind of keep at it and see where it was going. But I want to say probably Thursday or Friday is when it like just got its hooks in me.
Yeah, it looks like it's got some hooks to give out too. I mean, the more I watch this video, the more I see the amount of attention that it's bringing towards, replayability and, the options and the abilities that you have, and just kind of seeing some of those menu systems pop up with customizing your weapon and class and stuff. It's there's a lot of depth here. I can see that, just from watching for, 2 minutes.
Yeah. One of the cool things they do too is with the difficulty level. They have what they call world tier, and I believe there's 15 tiers. What you can do is adjust it on the fly, right? So they have it set up by default where it automatically adjusts based on your character level. So if you're leveling up your character at a good pace, you'll find yourself every so often bumping up to a new world tier. And when you do that, your characters become, your enemies become more difficult to destroy. They become more powerful against you. They're a little bit smarter, but they also drop better loot. So you're not going to get the best guns playing on World Tier 1. I'm at I want to say 7 right now. And I'm starting to get some cool stuff. And it's been a lot of fun, man. Once those purple guns start dropping, the game really just gets better. It gets so much more fun.
This is good to hear, man, because I know when we talked about it, I think it was last week, it just looked like a cover shooter, man, that was just borrowing ideas from Gears of War and Destiny and Borderlands. So I was just like, I'm out. But this video and your analysis this week is a lot more enticing for sure.
I read a review from GameStop this morning, and GameSpot.
Same thing.
Yeah, sure.
Well, no. Oh, really not, no.
Yeah, so GameSpot, they gave it an 8 in their review. And one of the things that they said is early impressions led them to believe it was, another cover shooter like Gears of War and, Borderlands and those types of looter shooters combined. But they found ultimately that it really played a lot more like Mass Effect than they were anticipating. And I think there's some truth to that. The game doesn't punish you for experimenting with different loadouts, with different skills. You have there at some point in the video, you'll probably see for a brief second, there's this massive skill tree, and you can spec it out. And, you can kind of see where it branches off. There's a weapon-based build. There's a skill-based build, and then there's usually some sort of balance between the two. And I think that they don't they let you just change it. If I want to wipe out my entire tree and just respec it from scratch, I can, and they don't punish you for it. It doesn't cost money. It doesn't cost any kind of premium currency or anything like that. You just press the button. You press the Y button. It wipes it out, gives you all your points back, and you just put them where you need. Just put them back where you need. So if you're at a boss that's just really truly difficult, the first thing you do is try different weapons combinations, because it'll spawn you just before that boss battle. It doesn't send you all the way back to the beginning. It's very forgiving with death. So you grab some different gear, or maybe you just bail out on that battle altogether and you go somewhere else. Or if you really want to, just drop the difficulty, because you can do that too. And then, you go back into the fight and see how it goes. So there were a couple instances where I was running mostly with a machine gun and a sniper rifle. And the machine gun was really paying off when I was using the toxic bullets, right? But the sniper rifle, I was just getting swarmed by these Zergling-like creatures. And the sniper rifle's just useless. So after I died 2 or 3 times, I grabbed the shotgun instead. And it changed the whole complexion of that battle.
Wait till Vic starts playing and he gets that sniper in his hands.
Yeah. I think Vic would have a lot of fun with that. Right now,
he's over there useless. Just wait.
Yeah. So Vic, Vortex is asking what class am I running, and right now I'm using the Technomancer. I really dig that blend of sniper and engineer. So it's been interesting, but he's the kind of guy that does really need to hang back, because all of his damage is done at its peak when you're far away. Getting close is not really the best way to do damage. And there's also bonuses, by the way, for keeping certain enemies within a range based on your class. So one class, they get a damage bonus if you're in close. Another one gets damage bonuses from a distance. My character also heals when he kills people. So each character is different, and I'm looking forward to experimenting with those characters, but I kind of want to finish the story with this class first and see how it goes before I move on to that.
Sounds smart.
Yeah.
I could tell you what, though, man, this game, it sounds way more accessible than I ever imagined.
Yeah.
Just with the amount of options that you have at your disposal.
It is. And I think, for Xbox owners, it's a huge boom being on Game Pass, because like for me, this was a game that after the demo, I was like, yeah, I want to play it, but not that bad. Right.
Mm-hmm.
I was like, yeah, I'll throw like $20, $30 at it. But then they announced it for Game Pass. I'm like, yeah, day one, why not? Right.
Yeah.
It's a no brainer. And the demo gives you an idea, but it doesn't hook you the way the game hooks after adding another 4 to 6 hours.
Okay.
So I'm enjoying it. I think anybody that's even considering checking it out, if you have Game Pass, you definitely want to check it out. Definitely fire it up. Hit me up. Let me know if you want to try to play. I'm bad with multiplayer, but these types of games can be a lot more fun when you're with a group.
Yeah, so. It certainly seems that way.
Yeah. So
well, that's good, man. I'm really glad to hear that. I'm glad that it's shaping up well for you.
Yeah. Vortex just said in the chat too. He's like, they should have done the demo with you already leveled up, and I think to some degree that probably would have worked better. But you're able to carry your progress over from the demo. So if you played the demo, you bring all that into the main game. So I picked up right where I left off, and it was pretty great. So
good.
Psychoro Twitch in the chat says we should raid. I don't believe this game has raids. It's not a looter shooter first. It is an RPG first. So it has a co-op element to it, but it's very satisfying to play single player. Yeah, that's all I got to say about Outriders, I think.
Oh, that's good, man. That's almost like a full review.
Yep.
Really good, solid first impressions or second impressions, really.
Yeah. I'm going to continue going back to this. I think I will see it at least through to the end. And hopefully I'll have a review for everybody.
Good.
So, let's move on to our next topic.
Yeah.
We have convinced you to play Bioshock Infinite.
Yes, you guys have.
So we've been doing Bioshock Infinite for the WDGR Game Club for the month of April. Mm-hmm. And we've got quite a few people playing with us this month. We're going to have a big conversation about the game once everybody's wrapped up with it. And Will, I'm excited that you're playing this, man. So let's talk a little bit about your first impressions of the game, and I'll chime in with mine too. Try to be mindful of spoilers because I want to say I'm a decent amount of the way ahead of you.
Yeah, you probably are. Yeah, I mean, I think it's pretty clear that it takes a lot of nudging for me to play a game like this, let alone any game that doesn't have my seal of approval. So I'm glad that I started because this game is really, really interesting. It's unlike anything I've ever played before. I don't even know what to say yet because I'm so early in. I've probably only played like 2-3 hours, if that. But what I can say right now, man, is what I have seen. It's like I explained to Joe that it's kind of like being stuck in a weird dream, but a really good dream. Because everything that I've experienced so far is just so bizarre. It's so dreamlike, something that you would only experience in a dream, not in real life. And I think it's pretty clear, within the first 2 hours. I mean, I got to one part where I honestly thought that I had passed away because the area was so heaven-like. I was like, man, like I don't want to leave here. Like this beautiful, haunting, ethereal music started playing, and I saw these beautiful, like almost like stained glass, sort of art prints all over the area that I was in.
Right.
And it was incredible, and I was like, what am I even playing? And I honestly just sat there for probably at least 15 minutes and just walked around that area. And I don't want to talk about it too much because we're not going into details, but
right.
That impressed me a lot. And sometimes that's all it takes is just one moment in a game. And it can be literally within the first hour that sells me on it. And that sold me on it. And to some people, they're going to be like, well, I mean, it's not that impressive, but to me it was. And
right.
I know it is to a lot of other people because when I looked up that particular song that I heard playing in that area, it's a very impactful moment in the game. And once I got past that area and I got into like the world that I think you're in most of the time, I was like, I just felt like I was at a sort of psychedelic Big E festival. Here in the Northeast, everybody knows what the Big E is, but for folks that are not in this area, the Big E is a giant festival that's held once a year. and it's held in Massachusetts in Springfield. And you basically just go there and you play a bunch of carnival games and you eat really bad food, like giant turkey legs on sticks. And there's some strange characters walking around, and there's historic stuff to look at. And Bioshock Infinite, at least what I've experienced so far in this sort of sky village or this sky town, reminded me of that. It's colorful, it's bright. There's some strange characters, and I honestly have no idea what's going on, and it's completely okay.
Yeah.
And that's generally not a statement that you hear too much when you're experiencing a game for the first time.
Well, they really do throw you into the fire, pretty much in the dark. The game is explained to you as you go along. At least it has been thus far. So you know what you need to know for that moment, and then eventually you'll learn more as it becomes necessary for you to understand what's going on with the plot. But it's been pretty wild playing it, so far. Like Bioshock 1 and 2 are among my favorite games of all time, and this has been something that's been on my radar for a long time, but just haven't gotten around to it. So this has been a great excuse to finally dive into it, and so far it's been very enjoyable. There are quite a few parts in this game that are going to give you pause. They're going to make you kind of stop in your tracks. And I really don't want to say more than that because I'm curious to see what your reaction will be when you get to those parts. But this game does tackle some pretty serious issues and ones that are, they resonate strongly in 2021.
Okay.
So I'll leave it at that.
Fair.
And when you encounter them, which you will do so quite early in the game, shoot me a text, let me know.
Yeah, I certainly will, man. I can't tell you how refreshing and liberating it was to sit down and play a game completely blind. It's been a while since I've done that. Most games that I've started, I at least knew some backstory and I watched some gameplay trailers and stuff like that. And with Bioshock Infinite, I really have seen very, very little. So it felt good, man. It felt good to play something really freaking bizarre and so out of the blue, after everything I've been dealing with the move and just not playing Gravity Rush and just being busy,
right,
to be able to sit down and play a game so fresh with such a clear head, it was really riveting, and I honestly can't wait to play it more, which is probably going to be this evening.
That's excellent to hear.
So for all the folks that worry about me, and you worry about me for good reason, I am here till the train stops, my friends. So no worries. This game will be beat.
Yeah,
my goal is end of the month. That's my goal.
Yeah, I mean we're as far as the game club is concerned, we're aiming to beat the entire game by the end of the month, and I'm thinking we should probably hold off doing our group discussion until after your move, just to kind of give you some time to get settled and not stress about it. But I think I've mentioned it on the air before. Discord just came out with this new, they call them stages. And I just want to try it, man. I just want to see what it does.
Dude, I can't wait for that. I can't wait to try that. That's so neat.
If people are cool with it, I'm going to see if we can record the session. And
that would be cool.
Maybe throw it up on our podcast feed.
That sounds really freaking cool.
It would be bare bones because I won't be able to separate the individual voices for editing or anything like that, unfortunately. I don't know how the quality of the recording would be. I've never done it before, but it shouldn't
be too good organic like that, though.
Yeah, and I don't think it would be too complicated to pull off either. So
yeah, probably not.
But yeah.
But overall, man, I'm impressed. I'm impressed with this game. I didn't think I would be necessarily. It was on my radar for some time now because I actually have it for PS3. I got it on PS Plus like forever ago. And I think it was Damien that actually sold me on it initially. He was like, hey, this is very like Chris Nolan-like. And that was enough to at least get me somewhat engaged. But yeah, I never really went any further with it. It was just kind of sat there. And I was like, oh, I'll get to this when I get to it. But I'm glad that we're doing it now in such an unusual fashion. And
you have the remastered collection too. So that means you have access to Bioshock 1 and 2. I would say
thanks to you, I do. Yes. Thank you, sir.
Hey man, it was on sale. It was a price that couldn't be said no to.
That was a nice surprise, man, because I was really not looking forward to setting up my PS3 with no headphones. I'm like, fuck, man, like
Yeah,
this is gonna be challenging. I mean, I'll do it, but
yeah.
the fact that I can play with headphones now is just, it's a night and day.
I'm super curious to hear what your experience is and what other people's experience is if they're playing the remastered version of the game. Because I'm playing the 360 version, and the graphics are not great. Like, I mean,
Dang.
there's some stuff that has held up tremendously well, but like there are other things, and I'm sure we'll discuss that have not aged well at all, particularly character models. So I'm kind of curious about that, and I'm also curious to know if there are any changes to the quote unquote chapters in the game, because at least on my version of the game, when I enter certain parts of the game, up at the top of the screen, it'll show like a chapter name, right? And in our game club discussion, Joe had written up a full list of all 40 chapters in the game, and half of them are matching the text that I see on the screen. The other half don't. And I
Okay.
can kind of figure it out based on what came first and what came later and stuff, but it's still a guessing game. So,
I mean, I could tell you my experience with the remaster so far has been very pleasant. It looks great, and I'm very attentive to detail. And I was inspecting some areas just kind of closely as I was just kind of soaking things in, and I didn't see any blemishes that stood out as like an eyesore. But I'm not far in enough to really be the judge of that just yet.
yeah, environmentally, I think the game still looks good on the 360 version. Yeah, I'm playing it on the Series X, but it is the 360 version of the game. It's just those character models look a little off, especially like the kids. They look like baby adults. It's very unsettling.
That is unsettling. I
Um,
noticed Dave said the art direction feels like a Norman Rockwell painting soaked in blood.
it's
I don't know who
interesting.
that is.
Norman Rockwell's a famous artist. I don't know enough about him to speak, with any sort of education, but he's done a lot of. He's the kind of guy that I think when you think of like Americana art.
Yeah, it does have a very American feel. Even just your character's hands are just very, just sort of overly masculine, and there's a sort of cartoon Popeye quality to the art, which is kind of neat.
So in our Twitch chat, we got some chatter about the quality of the remaster. Saikoro says, "Oh boy, the remaster version looks slick on the Series X." He says it's nothing different, just up-res graphics and some other smoother FPS. Looks less blurry. Epic Outro notes that apparently the new version of Infinite was not actually remastered. I believe in that collection only Bioshock 1 and 2 actually are remastered from the ground up. And I'm kind of curious to see what those games look like specifically, because I remember when Infinite came out, like the difference between Bioshock 1 and Bioshock Infinite was just like mind-blowing. It's like, how the hell did this game look so good, But yeah, I'm really excited to have you playing this, man, and I'm looking forward to talking about it with you and with the community.
Likewise, man, and I honestly think it's just what I needed.
Yeah, sometimes you just gotta just grab a game and
Wild
just
card,
play
man.
just wild card, bitches.
Yeah. I don't know what that's from, if it's from anything.
It is.
But that was funny.
I'm hoping Killer Sirach jumps in on that one, but
Okay.
anyway, all right, let's move down the list here. Doom 3 Virtual Reality Edition.
Yes.
Tell me about that.
How interesting is this, man? I was just exposed to it today. I feel like we may have spoken about it before in the show briefly. I know we've talked about the game several times because we've thought about playing the original
Yes.
somehow, just cooperatively, or as a community, or just somehow figuring out a way to do it. And I'd still like to do that because I'm very intrigued with what happened with Doom 3, why it's kind of an outcast from the other games. I know that it took a different direction in kind of this sort of survival horror, mechanics versus, your traditional Doom. And the idea of it being in VR terrifies me. Because as I watch some of this gameplay, I'm like, holy shit. I mean, first of all, why would you want to play anything like Doom in VR without having a heart attack or potentially peeing your shorts?
That's a good question, man.
And I love how I love how IGN just doesn't even take a soft blow with it, and their tagline is "Virtual Hell."
Yeah. I mean, this game is more immersive, I think, than most Doom games. Doom traditionally it was always more about the running and the gunning and the action and the nonstop, destruction. But Doom 3 was truly survival horror.
Mm-hmm.
It. I really wish I spent more time with that game. It just it didn't land with me. Like I played it, I beat it. I have I think I finished it on the original Xbox. I had the BFG edition, I want to say.
Mm-hmm.
I don't remember what they called it, but it's a good version of the game. It looked great. I didn't have a PC at the time that would handle it. Now, of course, I've bought it 3 times since it's come out recently. I bought it on the Xbox. I bought it on the Switch. I bought it on the PlayStation. You can get it for like $2 or $3 on sale at this point. But VR, man, like I'm just watching this video and like I feel like I'm gonna throw up.
Oh yeah, same. It's like you're just looking through one of those fish eyes that they use for like skateboarding videos. And Dave's right. Yeah, I remember it also, blowing people out of the water back in '04. I had it. I had the BFG edition, the sort of steel case copy, and it had a really cool sleeve on it. And I played like 20 minutes, and I was like, "This is terrifying." Put it back on the shelf, and I just bought it out of popularity. Everybody was like, "Man, this game! Like, just look at it." And right now, when you look at it, you can at least digest the fact that it would have looked good in '04.
Right.
But man, it's I forgot how wildly violent it is because there's a lot more humanoids, I guess, in this sort of version of Doom.
Well, yeah. I mean, I mean, at some point you're gonna get to like the demons and shit, but yeah, I mean, like you're going through like a base trying to figure shit out, and so you're gonna encounter a lot of humans. I mean, Doom has always had the zombies. Shotgun guy, chain gun guy, shit like that. So that's nothing new.
Ooh, yeah. Vic mentions, can you imagine Crysis 2 in VR? Dude, I still shed a tear thinking about that game. And Vic, I know that you'll know exactly what I'm talking about because Vic and I had the pleasure of playing that game when it came out in the beta and demo versions and even the final copy. And it didn't do well, but that game had so much promise. And yeah, all I could say, Vortex, is that game in VR would be amazing.
Do you think that Crysis is still like the measuring stick? Like remember when that game came out? It's like, can your computer run Crysis? Like that was the meme.
I think there was an achievement for Crysis 2 that was called "Can it run Crysis?" or "Can you run Crysis?" or something like that. And I was like, that's really clever.
Yeah.
I don't know if it was. I don't know enough about the first game to actually chime in on whether or not it should be used as a measuring stick then and or now. But I do know that when Crysis 2 came out, even on the 360, it looked remarkable.
Yeah.
And that was my first time like really being exposed to Crysis graphics. And I think Crytek has definitely had a pretty impressive engine for many years, but I think they need to do something else with it because I don't know if they've done too much outside of Crysis itself with that particular engine, which I think is the Cry engine.
Right. Yeah, it is a Cry engine. Crytek, I want to say. I don't know what they've done. Yeah, I really couldn't tell you. I never got into those games. Not for lack of disinterest. Well, I guess it was. I don't know. I just saw it as another shooter, and I just kind of disregarded it, I guess.
Yeah, no, that's completely fair. I think I just got sold on the trailer for Crysis 2. They did a really bang-up job with the marketing for that game, and Hans Zimmer actually did the music for a lot of it, and I love him. So, I was naturally intrigued, and a lot of us jumped on it, and then we jumped off after the beta and the final game was just bad. Single player was mediocre, and the multiplayer, the servers were just effed.
Yeah.
So we just kind of jumped ship. It was a shame.
Yeah.
Vic knows that it was incredibly promising.
So to circle back to Doom, if you have an opportunity to play this on VR, is that like your goal? Or
Oof, no, I think no. This is not a good way to start Doom 3, at least for me. I think I'd love to play it on a different platform. But for VR, I'd save that one for somebody's like house. Like if you've got VR and you happen to have this game, I'll try it out for 10 minutes. And then I'll probably yank the headphone or the VR system off and be like, fuck this noise. You know, I can't.
I don't know if I can recommend that you play somebody else's set because you're liable to break it. Like you just get so scared, you like rip it off, and next thing you know, like somebody's like $2,000 Oculus is,
oh my god,
or Rift or whatever. I don't know VR names, but
yeah. Well, I tell you right now, I actually had witnessed the Steam Intel, or it's the Valve. No, it's the Valve Index is the Ferrari of VRs.
Oh, okay.
And I don't know much about the higher end ones, but I know that one is apparently at the top of the food chain.
Really?
Yeah. The what is it? I already forgot it. The Steam Index.
Steam
I
Index.
think is what it is.
I feel like I have to look that up.
Yeah, you might have to. Just when you have downtime or whatever. But ultimately, I mean, what do you think about this, man? Like, you're not a big VR person. If you had VR, would you buy it?
No.
Okay.
No.
And that's more over the motion sickness, not so much over the sort of scariness of it.
I mean, a little bit of both, I would say.
Okay.
The idea of playing a game because it scares me just doesn't appeal to me.
Mm-hmm.
The idea of playing a game in a universe that intrigues me that happens to be horror is intriguing, right? Like, Dead Space is a great example of that. Doom also is as well too. Like, I'm interested in the science fiction part of it, not the horror part. Whereas something like, I think Doom in VR or Dead Space in VR, that's because it's horror. It's not because it's science fiction. Let's be completely honest here. They're trying to scare the shit out of you, and that's just not appealing to me. Yeah.
I think I would question anyone that was playing Doom 3 in VR at, say, like 10, 11 o'clock at night, and then takes it off and says, hey, honey, do you want like an ice cream sundae with like extra cherries on top just before we go to bed?
And a side of murder.
Like, and then you just go to bed and you got a smile on your face and just go to sleep. You have wonderful dreams. Like, how is that even possible? You were just immersed in a hell ship.
How can you
3 hours?
How can you wear that headset and then just like go to sleep? Like, shit, man.
I gotta say, man, I'm glad I don't have the Quest anymore. It was fun. It was really fun, and I think I was on like a VR high at the time, but it's so immersive that you really feel very disoriented when you get out of it.
Yeah.
And I didn't really like that feeling. I felt, I don't know, it was very hard to explain.
Was it like
it was too
like floaty?
A little floaty, and you just felt kind of, I don't know, like. It's very hard to describe, like almost bummed when you would come out of it and you would be like, oh, so I guess this is like real life now. It just had a weird like mental effect. And I've read that it does that for a lot of people because it's so immersive that it transports you to a totally different world. And there are people that spend far too long inside of them, and that kind of scares me too.
I'd be curious to see like, what the deal is with like VR addiction and things in that realm, just
it's real.
Oh yeah, no, I have no doubt that it's very real. I'm just kind of curious to see like what sort of statistics there are,
side effects and stuff like that. Yeah.
All right, let's move on to our next topic. The Last of Us is there's rumors that Sony is going to remake this game. How do you feel about that?
So Zach told me about it. We've had Zach on the show. He's a big Last of Us fan, and initially, I think it was at work when he texted me. I was very just kind of like meh about it, and the reason why is because that game looked amazing on the PS3, and it also looked amazing on the PS4.
Right.
And I don't know if it really needs to look amazing again for a third time on the PS5, and that was kind of my initial reaction. I gave it some time to, to think about it more because initially Zach was like, oh, come on, dude. Like, it's going to look amazing. It's going to look like The Last of Us 2. And I was like, you know what? You've got a good point because The Last of Us 2 does look remarkably better than the initial even remaster of 1. But I just don't know if it's that paramount right now to make it. I think if it comes out, it'll be received well. I just don't know if it's something that I would certainly not pay full price for. If it
Right.
came out at 60, I'd be like, no, I'm just going to wait for this to drop down to 20, if that, pick it up and experience it again, because I do want to play the first game again. And it would be nice to play it on the PS5, but I need to see more details. Is this going to be a remaster or a full remake from the ground up? That might change my mind. But right now, I'm not too excited about it.
Yeah, I think more information would need to come out.
Yeah.
I kind of got the impression from what I had read that it was more than a remaster. You know, it was more of a remake, which I think concerns me because, you know, the first game, while dated, is kind of a masterpiece.
It absolutely is.
And when you start remaking things, you can ruin that, tarnish that legacy. You know?
I couldn't agree with you more about that. I think that's absolutely it. You're tinkering with something that's very special.
Very special, very precious to a lot of people. And, you know, Epic Outro just said in the chat room, I will buy it because I would love to have a chance to spend more time in that world. But what if they fuck it up? You know, I think that really is my question. Like, you know, first of all, is Naughty Dog going to do this, or are they going to be working on The Last of Us 3 or Uncharted 16 or whatever?
That's just it.
You know, or are they willing to revisit a game that they made, you know, 8 years ago to try to make it from the ground up and make it a little bit better?
Yeah, I mean, I think we're now living in a gaming world where as soon as the word remake is used, everybody gets worried. And they get worried for good reason, because there's a big difference now in a remaster and a remake. And, you know, Final Fantasy VII is a good example. You know, a lot of people didn't like it. A lot of people loved it. But again, you're tampering with something that is literally a masterpiece. So I really hope that if they make a full remake, likely would it be the same team? I don't know. Probably not, because like you said, I think they're going to be focused on the next Uncharted, the next IP, or the next Last of Us, which is what they should be focused on. So what I think will happen is they're going to use a similar approach as what they did with the Last of Us, the Lost Legacy.
Okay.
Where they used like a separate team in Naughty Dog to make that game. And did it look as good as the other ones? Yes. Did it play as the other ones? Yes. But or play as well, it did. But with this one, I don't know, man. Ultimately, more details are needed. It's too early to say too much at this point.
Would you rather have them focus on something new entirely, whether it's a sequel to The Last of Us or just a completely new IP? Or would you rather have them remaster or remake the first game?
I think it's a really good question, and I think it's something that's going to be coming across people's minds, you know, for the next week or so, especially if more news comes out on this. I think it would be great to see another Uncharted or another familiar game from the studio, like Last of Us 3. But at the same time, it would be cool to see a totally new IP. So I think that if they can somehow manage to do both, which they probably could, then I'm game for both. You know, give us the remake of this and then also give us something new. But at the same time, if I really had a final say in this, I'd rather have them put their full attention on something new.
Right. I would too. You know, I think I'm really not on board with all these remasters. Even Mass Effect, which is getting a remaster, is one of my favorite games ever. I wish they would just make new Mass Effect instead of like just remastering the old ones. You know, and I feel the same way about movies too. Like, stop revisiting the old, like stop rebooting Superman, just as an example. You know,
I know,
stop.
I know.
Like, just come up with something different. Come up with something new.
It's hard to ignore that. And even Lauren said something to me recently, and she's not even a big movie person, but even she knew. She was like, honey, they just don't make anything new anymore.
They don't.
And I was like, you're right. They really don't. And that's why movies like Tenet and, you know, the likes of Chris Nolan and the occasional original film that comes out, it's a blessing, because you're like, oh, thank God, you know, this is something freshly original. But it's more of a rarity these days, unfortunately.
Yeah. I mean, I'm probably going to buy the Mass Effect remaster. I don't know if I'm going to buy it on release. I'm really just going to kind of patiently wait and see how the game reviews, Because I have to be completely honest. As much as I love the game, I have very little desire to go and replay 3 80-hour games back to back. You know?
Yeah.
So,
Yeah, exactly.
And 80 hours is a slight exaggeration, but there's a lot of side quests in those games, and it probably will take me a couple months to go through each one. So, because I will do all the side quests, it's worth it in that game to do those side quests, because a lot of times they can affect your character standings and your relationships with your crew. So it's worth the time and effort to branch out and expand and get as much of that as you can.
To answer Data Dive's question there, I think it would be very similar to what I said with Last of Us Remake. It would have to be something really special, like if it was drastically different than what we experienced with the remaster or the remake on PS4, then yes. But if it was just, if I watched a video, like a Digital Foundry video, and there really was some minor touch-ups, I'd probably pass on it. And I think most people probably would. If you haven't played the game and you have a PS5, just get it on that. But if you've played it on PS4, and I don't know, that one's going to be hard to make look any better unless they actually completely remade it.
And this is regarding Shadow of the Colossus, right?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
All right. Yeah. So I don't know. I know a lot of people get excited for the remasters. Just to kind of wrap this up, I know Resident Evil 2 remaster was very popular. Resident Evil 3 remaster equally popular. I don't get excited for these remakes and remasters, man. I don't know.
I feel like I did, and then sometimes I feel like I don't. Like, it's very hit or miss. It really depends on what it is. I'd like to see like some real gems get some like very special treatment, and we've had that happen. But I'd like to see something that's just mind blowing. A game that we all truly love that has something to really bring it back.
I agree 100%. All right, so let's see here. What's next on the list? I think that brings us to our mailbag, huh?
It does.
Yeah, man. So we had a couple questions sitting in the mailbag after our last show. So let's tackle those. Let's see here. I have to filter through some of Scooby's stuff because he just responded to people as well. Scooby, respond in chit chat, please. Thank you. All right. But poor guy, I'm putting him on blast. He's not even here.
Oh boy.
All right, let's see here. Killer Rock asks, "How that March Madness is over, what do now?"
For me, it's going to be Bioshock Infinite. Straight up focused on that until it's beat.
Yeah, I think he's trying to figure out what the next big thing for the show is, and there isn't anything. You're looking at it. It's nice to take a break from something that took 6 weeks to do.
Yes, that is true. That is true.
But we have the Game Club, which is a big deal. I think that's a lot of fun, and hopefully we can get more people on board with that. I don't know that we're going to do that every month, but it would be like something that hopefully we can do a few times a year at the very least.
Yeah, I think that's absolutely it. We're focused on Game Club right now, and then down the road, I'm sure we'll do some more game nights as well, which we've talked about. Bring those back. Get some people together. That'll be good.
Absolutely. Let's see here. Scooby Diesel asks, would you rather play a multiplayer game or a single-player game? Are you more into story or gameplay typically?
Drew, you touched on this one recently. You're more of a single-player guy, right?
Yes. Yeah. There's a few things that go into that. Mostly it's me. I don't have a burning desire to be the best anymore like I used to be. I used to be very competitive with gaming, and now I'm not, because I can't be. I don't have the time or the energy to play something so religiously that I can even stand toe-to-toe against somebody that's reasonably good. So I would rather focus my time on relaxing and enjoying games. And that's going to be more towards a single-player experience. Yes, there are single-player games that are intense, but it's a different kind of intensity than if you're going head-to-head against somebody in, say, Destiny PvP or PUBG or something like that. So I'd rather just chill, have fun. Co-op gaming is always a plus. I do enjoy doing co-op gaming with people, but my schedule is very inconsistent, and like I go to bed at 8:30. That's not a joke. Like that's legit
Yeah.
because I wake up at 4:30 in the morning. So most people are just turning on their Xboxes at that hour.
Yeah.
And
Yeah. After dinner.
for me, like I'm literally climbing into bed, and by 9 o'clock I'm out. So, it just my schedule is not conducive, I think, to a multiplayer experience for most people.
Mm-hmm.
And the other thing is like a lot of times like I'll sit down and I'll play a game, and then like I'll need to pause the game for some reason. Maybe it's something stupid. Maybe it's a text message or a phone call, right? Or maybe something legit, like one of my cats is murdering the other cat. So, like
It happens, dude.
a couple nights ago, I was playing Outriders, and all of a sudden I started hearing one of the cats throwing up. Like, what?
Oh God.
Pause the game. But in that game, exactly. Anybody that's ever had cats knows that sound. Like, you have nightmares about that sound. Fucking Outriders, you can't pause. Like
It's like a fire in your house, like when that happens. It sounds absurd, but like you said, if you're a cat owner, it's a fire drill.
Dude, a couple nights ago, I'm lying in bed, and like it's like 9:30. I'm dozing off. 10 o'clock on the dot, I hear that noise. It wakes me out of it. It wakes me up. It wakes me up. And like I'm like, you're listening. You're trying to like spatially figure out where in the house this noise is coming from, right?
Mm-hmm.
Is it coming from the kitchen? Is it coming from like my side of the bed? Is it coming from Nikki's side of the bed? Because if it's Nikki's side of the bed, she can deal with it, right? But if it's my side of the bed, I'm gonna step in that shit, right?
Yeah.
So I get up and like I put my moccasins on because God forbid you step in like cat vomit, right?
Moccasins.
I put my moccasins on. I walk down the hallway and I turn on the light and I see Dax sitting in front of his water bowl, and he lays in front of his water bowl.
Uh-huh.
And there's fucking like half digested cat food in the water bowl, and the rest of it's on the side of the water bowl.
Oh.
And the scary thing is if I left that, he'd eat it. So,
Oh, Jesus Christ.
yeah. So I picked that up, I cleaned it up, and I went back to bed. And like Nikki said to me the next day, she's like, "Did you get out of bed?" Because she wears earplugs because I snore, right?
Mm-hmm.
So she's like, did you get out of bed for some reason at like 10 o'clock? I'm like, yeah, the cat threw up. She's like, oh, well, why didn't you just like make me do it? You're always the one that's getting up out of bed to do that. And I'm like, well, that's nice of you to offer. But by the time I actually explained to you what was going on and you took your earplugs out and you heard me and understood what I was saying, I could have just cleaned it up.
Exactly.
Because like, she'll do this thing where she like wakes up and she'll be like, I'll say something to her. She'll be like, huh? And then she'll take one earplug out after I repeat myself, huh?
Oh, God.
And then she'll take the third one out and it's like, huh?
Yeah, by the time you've hit the 3 huns, like it's already, you
It's
might
already
as well
done.
just have it cleaned up.
So
yeah.
I just do it.
Yeah. Well, I'll tell you what, man, the idea of stepping into the universe of any multiplayer experience is always kind of the equivalent of going to New York City on a really busy day and asking somebody for directions. Unless you live there all the time, you're living in that universe. It can be really hard to just kind of transition in and out of that experience when you're not committed to it like a full-time job.
Yeah, I agree. I think that's the thing right there is committing to it like it's a full-time job, if you want to hold your own, like you need to take it seriously. And I don't care. I just don't care.
Yeah. I mean, all in all, that's my perspective on it. I think it can be fun in the right setting with the right people.
Yeah.
But generally speaking, it can be kind of a shit show. For that reason is that, if you're not in that world enough, you'll just get smoked. And then that's not really fun for anybody.
Even if you're like playing with friends, like playing Halo, for example, right? We've gotten Halo going for a couple game nights and we've had a fun time with it. But being last in Halo every single time you play gets a little depressing, man.
It does,
You
because then
know,
you're sitting there and you're like, you know what? I think I'm just gonna go.
right? And
I'm just
and
gonna go.
and so like that's like when we play, like I like to play like the ridiculous shit, like rocket races and stuff like that.
Hmm.
But anyway. Let's see here. Moving along. Vortex asks, which game made you pick your primary console of choice and why? For me, it was Jet Set Radio Future for Xbox. That was the sole reason I got Xbox, not Halo. Xbox Live is the reason I stuck with Xbox.
Mm.
So you want to take this one first?
Yeah, of course. I thought about this one a lot, and I would say Metal Gear Solid 2 for the PS2 is a game that I can remember that sold me on a console. Um, I mean, I absolutely had such a good time with the PS2 and especially with MGS2. That game looked amazing on that platform, and for a lot of folks that didn't even like the game and had no interest in it, they knew that some of the demo footage that we saw from that game was just there was no doubt in anybody's mind that it just looked incredible. It was kind of like what happened with MGS1 for the PS1. Again, same kind of effect. People are like, I don't care what this game is, I want it. And MGS2 was, I think, really the definitive sort of demo game that you would showcase to your friends if you had that system. So that would be my answer.
For me, I had a Dreamcast, and I started dating a girl, and I kind of got caught up in that. It was kind of all wrapped up in her, and I kind of lost sight of games for a while. But the few times that I did get to play, I was playing Halo over at Vic's house. We were doing like the LAN parties and everything. And then we broke up, and it was like a knee-jerk reaction of like suddenly having all this money plus fuck you for like I gave up my hobby for you kind of thing. And I went out and I bought a GameCube because no, I'm sorry. I bought an Xbox because of Halo. I bought an Xbox because of Halo because that's what everybody was playing, and I wanted to be a part of that, and I missed that. So I jumped in on the Xbox for Halo, but mostly because of our friends, not so much because of the game itself. I ended up getting a GameCube because on the Xbox was the worst ever wrestling game, but that's a whole nother story for another night.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's where I'm at. And then with the Xbox, I think the 360 was a natural progression. I and it doesn't have anything to do with backwards compatibility. I just didn't have the money for a PS2, and I never jumped in that ecosphere. So when they announced the 360, because I was so far behind on the original Xbox, when they announced the 360, like I threw down a pre-order without even thinking about it, and I think I was the first or second person in our group to get a 360. And I actually remember bringing it over to Vic's house with 4 controllers so we could play like Ghost Recon and shit.
Wow.
It was a lot of fun.
Yeah,
But,
those were the days, dude.
Yeah. But then, yeah, it's like once you're in that ecosystem, you kind of stay there. Like the 360 was so good, right? There's so many good games on that system. I think I have more games for the 360 than any other platform. And because like I was living at home, I was working full time, and instead of being responsible and helping my parents pay the bills, I bought video games on credit.
Hey, we've all been there, man. We have all been there.
But then it's just like from there, it's just like, okay, you just kind of like I just stuck with the Xbox platform through thick and thin. And I really don't have any regrets because like with the Xbox One, I know it had a troubled launch, but it was very fascinating to watch that system become what it has become, going from the Don Matrick era to the Phil Spencer era.
Yeah, that's an interesting way of putting it. And yeah, there's no doubt about it that the Xbox One had a strange launch, a strange history. The longevity was sort of there, but sort of not. And
Right.
it's really picking back up again, and I'm happy. I mean, I tell you right now, man, being a Sony guy, the Xbox 360 is hands down one of the greatest consoles of all time.
Yeah, I think so too. And I don't think that's I don't think a lot of people would argue with it.
No, that's a hard one to refute. It's like Lord of the Rings. You can say you didn't like it, but you can't say they were bad movies.
Correct. Yeah.
Scooby Diesel asks, "What is your favorite controller? If you could use any controller for everything, what would it be?"
You know, I've gone on record talking about the PS4 controller being my favorite controller, but I think the Xbox Series X controller has taken the cake, man. They've refined that controller in a good way, and the grip is nice, the weight is nice, just everything about that controller just feels better, even though it's the same fucking design they've been using for, 3 console iterations now at this point. But I really dig it. It feels comfortable in my hands. It's a natural fit. I do think the more time I spend with the Xbox controller and then going back and playing a game like God of War, I think I do prefer having the analog sticks offset versus having them both at the same plane. But
Common complaint.
yeah, I think I could go either way. It depends on the day of the week. But for right now, I'm really thinking the Series X controller is where it's at for me.
Okay. I mean, mine's kind of generic too. I would say it's a toss-up between the PS4 and the Xbox 360 controller. Two popular favorites, especially the 360 one. A lot of people absolutely swear by that thing, and for good reason. And then the PS4 is just comfy, man. I guess I have more reasons than that, but off the top of my head, I mean, they just fit well in my hands, and I'm used to more of that Sony setup where the sticks are closer. And even though I have giant thumbs that are longer than most people's, I haven't really had that issue where sometimes they clash. I might have, but not have realized. But I just like the layout. I've never really had too many issues with controllers in general, except for maybe the GameCube and the N64 a little bit here and there. But yeah, for modern stuff, those are my two desert islands. I'll say that much. He also asked, what is the mainstream controller you dislike the most? Now,
I think he means mainstream.
oh, okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
The Joy-Cons are trash. Just the more, because like I don't play games that utilize like the special features of them. The more I try to play the Switch with a Joy-Con, the more I hate the experience. It's just hot garbage, man. Those like Mario 64 got ruined for me. I need a Pro controller. I need to just fucking buy a Pro controller. That's it.
That is a wonderful controller. I know we've spoken about that one before. Had a high price tag at launch, but now I think it's much more reasonable. So yeah, I would absolutely invest in that.
How about you? What's your dislike?
For mainstream, it's got to be, I would say probably also the Switch.
Yeah.
Whether it's docked on the actual Switch or even undocked, I just don't like the layout at all. Like I like the Switch, but handling it was not fun for me. Having the controllers basically be like this far apart, and I don't know, man, it just felt so foreign, and I didn't like how small the buttons were. So overall, I would say anything from like the Wii to the Wii U to the Switch, I've just never really liked their controller design at all.
Yeah, Nintendo's controllers the past few generations have been really awkward for me.
Very.
Yeah.
Very.
Yeah,
They're just not comfy. And I know they're not really meant to be because they've moved into this sort of, play as you go design aspect. But I don't know, man. You just, for me, you can't beat, your classic console controller. Just let me sit with it. So yeah, that's my answer. And
Fair
then
enough.
he also says now most disliked of any type of controller. I guess this would include Guitar Hero, guitars, mech flight, fighting, stuff like that.
Okay. I have something behind me that I'm going to grab. So
Grab it.
I'm going to throw you up on the screen for a second while I do
Go
this.
for it.
Because I don't want people staring at my butt.
Okay.
Man down.
It sounded like a drumstick.
I just broke stuff.
Was it a drumstick?
It was absolutely a drumstick.
Yeah, I know that sound, man. Like I act like I'm a drummer here, but I just know that sound.
It is actually a Mike Portnoy drumstick from a Dream Theater concert that Dave Epic Outro was at with me. It's not signed, but it is a stage played Mike Portnoy drumstick. So
Oh, very cool.
yeah, this is pretty cool shit, man. So I'm a little embarrassed because this box is somewhat dusty. I tried brushing it off real quick, but here is a Street Fighter 15th anniversary controller for the original Xbox. Okay, and
That is rare, my friend.
well, this thing sucks ass.
It does suck. Yes, it does. I had like 3 of them.
Look at this D-pad. Look how uncomfortable that D-pad looks. Now it's cool. I don't know if you can see the effect in the middle there.
Hologram.
Yeah, it's like a little hologram, right? I mean, I could probably take it out of the package. This makes for great podcast.
I think on paper the design works well, but in reality it didn't.
Yeah. Like this thing is so bad I think I used it once. I still have the fucking twist tie on the cable. Oh shit, I didn't realize it came with like this comic, I guess.
Oh yeah.
I had no idea.
First time for everything.
Wow. Like I forgot. Like I haven't opened this thing in years. I haven't opened it in years. But like this is just, if anybody can see this, this is like the worst. Just the buttons have like
Ooh, it is ugly.
Yeah, it is ugly as sin. I don't remember if somebody gave it to me for Christmas, and like I'm thankful for the gift, but like this is an ugly controller.
Dude, it's like baby vomit.
It really is, and like Guile's my dude. Guile is my main, but I do not like Guile's aesthetics. I just like him as a game. You know, like he's a good character.
Dang, that thing sucks. I mean, I gotta say they look kind of cool, and the boxes look better. So
Yeah.
at least you got that going for it.
Yeah. So I don't know what these are worth. You said it's worth something.
I don't know if it's worth anything, but they're really hard to find.
Well, yeah.
I think I sold them years ago.
I'd have to look into it. But oh, Damien's being clever with his typing. Why are you backwards, Drew? Because I can't flip the camera in Discord. Is the actual answer. I don't know why, but I cannot. Trust me, it's annoying. How about you, man? You have any dislikes in controllers?
That's definitely one of them. I'm trying to think if there's something unusual that I used. Yeah, there was a Battlefield 3 controller that I think was made by Razer or some other company. It was fucking terrible. It looked so cool and it lit up. Like there was like a Battlefield logo that lit up on the controller, but it was wired. It didn't work well. It had a lot of issues with connectivity, and overall, it was just crap.
Really?
I think everybody knows that when you buy third party, when it comes to controllers, it's very hard to find something that's going to gel as well as something that's first party.
Yeah, it's very true. And you know, there's been some Hori sticks lately that have been pretty good. Actually, speaking of the Switch, Hori made a controller that attaches to the Switch for handheld mode, and apparently it's incredible, but it doesn't charge like the gamepads themselves. I think you have to hook them up to like a USB or something like that. I'm not sure how it works, but a lot of people have spoken very highly about that. So there are good third-party controllers being made, but they're really few and far between, and they've come a long way since even like these were made. You know.
I think one more that's worth adding as a really good controller that's third party was Mad Catz's first lineup of arcade controllers, the Terminant series. Vic had, I think, one of them. I don't know if he had a tournament one. I had a bunch of tournament ones, and they were really expensive. But those were some of the best third-party arcade sticks I've ever had the pleasure of using. And then they changed them, and then I think they don't even make them anymore. But that first lineup, that first like portfolio of those tournament ones, man, those were outstanding controllers.
I just pointed to something on the cam. I don't know if you guys saw it.
That's part of the first run.
Yeah, so I have one of those, and I did mod it. I don't remember what we put in. I think it was a Sanwa stick with an 8-way gate.
Likely.
Yeah, it's pretty cool, man. It's a pretty cool stick. I haven't used it in years either, but it's sitting up there collecting dust with the other Street Fighter controller. So,
Yep. Yeah. Yeah. No. See, Vic knows he had some experience with those, and they just kind of hit the mark with those, and then unfortunately, they just all got really rare. So if you didn't keep it and you sold it, it was so hard to get it back again. And sometimes you can still find them at like a game shop,
Right.
and they're priced, remarkably high. And it's because they were just made really well. They did the right thing. They took the right advice from the right people. And yeah, they were an absolute pleasure and highly moddable.
I always wanted to build my own arcade stick, like from the ground up. I always thought that would be fun. And I know, like, Vency just got the X-Men vs. Street Fighter cabinet.
Bastard.
Like, I desperately want to, like, build a cabinet. Like, cut the wood and all that shit.
From scratch.
And I have no idea how to use power tools. So.
You're like, I can use a drill and...
Yeah.
Kind of it.
And
I'm in the same boat.
A drill and a hedge trimmer. Can I make an arcade cabinet?
Maybe. That would be an amazing project,
right?
though, man.
Fucking MacGyver. Got a drill, a hedge trimmer, and a shoelace. Street Fighter 5. Oh goodness.
That is too funny.
Oh man. So that's the mailbag. Kind of an impromptu mailbag, but a good one, I think.
Mm-hmm.
So
I agree.
Anything else you want to talk about before we call it a night?
I don't think so, man. I think that wraps us up.
All right. So, folks, thank you again for tuning in. Follow us on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, YouTube, Discord. You can find us on social media at WDGR Podcast. If you're tuning in and you're listening to this on Wednesday, we record these on Mondays live on Twitch, 6:30 p.m. Eastern Time. We'd love to have you stop on by and say hello. But if you can't make it, swing on by our Discord room and join us there. We chat about all kinds of games there. Join our game club, play Bioshock Infinite with us, or just bullshit with us. Share pictures of your cats, share pictures of your foods and your beverages and whatever else. We have all kinds of crazy conversations in that room. It's a lot of fun, and we'd love to have you there.
Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised if we open up a room to share our socks at this point. So there isn't too much you can't share at this point.
Oh man, that would be very boring on my end.
You're like, here's my white Hanes and here's my black Hanes. That's all I got. See ya.
Accurate. Oh no, I have a couple Argyle socks that I've worn for weddings recently too. So there we go. Of course, we're on the web at WDGRpodcast.com, Facebook, Twitter, Instagram at WDGR Podcast, and of course at WDGR Socks.
God.
That was a stretch. I'm sorry. I'm tired. I gotta go. Will, social media.
Oh God. I'm still thinking about Kissed by Olive Oil. I'm sorry, I'm hungry. SoundCloud.com/Will_gear for modern cinematic inspirations.
Modern cinematic inspirations. I like it. You can find me on Twitter at ScionStorm. I was bitching about WrestleMania yesterday. So if that's your thing, tune in. It's great. On that note, folks, thanks for listening. We'll see you next week.
Take care.